My wife smirked to her friends. I don't need to worry. He always bends eventually. I didn't interrupt. I didn't argue. Okay. That night, I quietly removed the one routine she depended on most. The next morning, she froze mid-sentence, and that's when everything stopped. I'm 39, married for 11 years, and I just discovered that being reliable isn't the same as being respected. Sometimes it just makes you predictable prey. Last Saturday, my wife had 3 of her friends over for their monthly wine and gossip session. I was in my home office working on a project with the door half open. Didn't mean to eavesdrop, but sound carries in our house and they were in the living room directly below. I heard one of them say something about her husband refusing to go to another family event. Then laughter. Then my wife's voice, loud and clear. Oh, please, that would never work with mine. I just have to wait him out. He always bends eventually, always has. More laughter. Another friend. You've got him trained well. My wife. It's not even training at this point. It's just who he is. He'll push back for maybe a day, then cave. Every single time. I don't even stress about it anymore. I sat there at my desk, fingers frozen over my keyboard. She said it so casually, so matter-of-factly, like it was just an observable truth about me, the way you'd mention someone's height or hair color. I didn't go downstairs, didn't interrupt, didn't argue, just sat there and thought about every time I'd bent in the past year. The vacation I didn't want to take but agreed to because she insisted. The expensive kitchen renovation I thought was unnecessary but funded anyway. The dinner parties I hosted despite hating entertaining. The career opportunity I turned down because it would have meant relocating and she didn't want to move. Every single one I'd pushed back initially. Made my case. Then eventually bent. And she'd been counting on it. Banking on it. Mocking me for it to her friends. I closed my laptop. Went to the bedroom. Lay down and stared at the ceiling for about 2 hours. Just thinking. She came upstairs around 10 p.m. after her friends left. Found me in bed. You okay? You disappeared. Just tired. Want me to make you some tea? I was going to prep your breakfast stuff for tomorrow morning. There it was. The routine. Every single night for 11 years, she'd set up my breakfast. Coffee maker prepped and ready to auto-start at 6 a.m. My vitamins and medications laid out next to my water glass. Oatmeal measured into a bowl with raisins and cinnamon, just needed hot water added. It was sweet when we first got married. Caring. She'd said she wanted to take care of me, make my mornings easier since I had an early commute. But now I heard it differently. Now it sounded like maintenance, like you'd maintain a machine you needed to keep running. Don't worry about it tonight, I'm good. You sure? It only takes me 5 minutes. I'm sure. She shrugged and got ready for bed. We fell asleep without much conversation. I woke up around 3 a.m. Couldn't sleep. Kept hearing her voice. He always bends eventually. I got up quietly, went downstairs to the kitchen, unplugged the coffee maker, put away the vitamins and medications she'd already set out. She must have done it before bed anyway. Poured the pre-measured oatmeal back into the container. Then I wrote a note. Simple. Clear. Left it where my breakfast setup normally would be. I heard what you said to your friends, about how I always bend. You're right, I did. Past tense. That's done now. Make your own breakfast. I'll make mine when I'm ready. We'll talk tonight. I went back to bed. Slept better than I had in weeks. Update 1. My alarm went off at 5:30 a.m. like always. I got up, showered, got dressed, went downstairs around 6:15. She was standing in the kitchen holding my note. The coffee maker was still unplugged. The counter was empty where my morning setup always was. She looked at me. What is this? Exactly what it says. You're mad because of something you overheard? I'm not mad. I'm awake. There's a difference. Awake to what? To the fact that you don't respect me. You see me as someone who always gives in. Someone predictable. Someone trained. Your words, not mine. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? I was just venting with my friends. It's not that deep. It's exactly that deep. You told them you don't worry about what I want because I'll cave anyway. That's not a partner. That's a tool you know how to use. That's not fair. Isn't it? Name one major decision in the last 2 years where you actually compromised, where you didn't just wait me out until I gave in. She opened her mouth, closed it. Couldn't come up with anything. That's what I thought. So here's what's changing. I'm done bending. You want something from me? You're going to have to actually negotiate, actually compromise, actually treat me like my preferences matter. Over breakfast? It's not about breakfast. Breakfast is just the symbol. You've been taking care of me every morning for 11 years. It was sweet once. Now it's just another way you manage me. Another routine you use to keep me compliant. So that stops. I'll handle my own breakfast. You handle yours. You're being ridiculous. I'm being clear. Finally. Should have done this a long time ago. So what? You're punishing me? I'm setting a boundary. If that feels like punishment, maybe think about why. I grabbed my keys and my bag. I'm going to work. We'll talk more tonight. We're talking now. No. You're defending yourself. That's not the same as talking. Tonight. After we've both had time to think. I left. She was still holding the note. The drive to work was strange, liberating, terrifying. I'd never stood my ground like that before, never just stated what I wanted and walked away without negotiating, without softening the blow, without immediately backpedaling. I wondered if I'd overreacted, if I was being too harsh. Then I remembered her voice, the laughter of her friends, the casual dismissal of my autonomy, the confidence that I'd always cave. No, I wasn't overreacting. If anything, I'd been underreacting for years. Update 2. Work was impossible to focus on. My phone buzzed constantly. Texts from her. This is immature. You're overreacting. I was just joking with my friends. You can't just change everything because of one comment. We need to talk about this like adults. I didn't respond to any of them until lunch. Then I sent one text back. I am talking about this like an adult. I heard something that made me realize how you see me. I'm responding to that reality. We'll discuss tonight. Until then, please stop texting me at work. She sent 3 more texts after that. I muted the conversation. Around 3 p.m., her best friend called me, the one who'd been at the wine session. I almost didn't answer, but figured I'd have to deal with this eventually. Hey, she's really upset. What's going on? She told you? She said you're mad about something she said and now you're not talking to her. That's not accurate. I'm talking to her. Just not on her timeline. She's worried you're going to ask for a divorce. I haven't mentioned divorce. But I have mentioned that things need to change. Over breakfast? It's not about breakfast. Did she tell you what she said? About me always bending? She said it was just a joke. It wasn't a joke. It was her actual opinion of me, that I'm predictable, that she doesn't worry about what I want because I'll cave. That's not a joke. That's contempt. I think you're reading too much into it. I think I'm reading exactly what was said. And I'm done being the guy who always gives in. If that upsets her, maybe she should ask herself why my compliance was so important. You're going to throw away 11 years over this? I'm not throwing away anything. I'm asking for basic respect. If that's too much to ask, then maybe 11 years wasn't worth what I thought it was. I hung up, blocked her friend's number. If my wife wanted to talk, she could talk to me directly. The afternoon dragged. I kept thinking about the years of small concessions, the times I'd said yes when I meant no, the gradual erosion of my own preferences until I'd become the person she described to her friends. Predictable, manageable, guaranteed to bend. I thought about my father. He'd been that way with my mother, always accommodating, always flexible. I'd watched him shrink over the years, his personality flattening, his desires disappearing. I'd promised myself I wouldn't become him, but here I was, 39 years old, and realizing I'd broken that promise. Update 3. I got home around 6:30. She was in the kitchen making dinner. Not the usual elaborate meal she'd normally prepare on weeknights, just pasta and jar sauce. Bare minimum effort. Dinner's almost ready. Thanks. We need to talk. Agreed. We sat down with our plates, ate in silence for a few minutes. Then she put down her fork. I'm sorry. For what specifically? For what I said to my friends, for making it sound like I don't respect you. Do you respect me? Of course I do. Then why did you say I always bend? Why did you tell them you don't worry because I'm predictable? Because it's true, but I didn't mean it in a bad way. How did you mean it? I meant that you're reasonable, that you listen to me, that we always find a way to work things out. We don't work things out, I give in, there's a difference. That's not how I see it. How do you see it? I see it as you being flexible, willing to compromise. Name a compromise. Name one time in the last year where you gave up something you wanted because I didn't want it. She thought about it. The vacation. You didn't want to go to the beach. You wanted the mountains. We ended up at the beach, but I let you pick the resort. You let me pick the resort at the location you chose. That's not compromise. That's consolation prize. The kitchen renovation. You didn't think we needed it. I agreed to cut the budget by 20%. You cut the budget by 20% after I agreed to do it at all. I didn't want to do it at any price. You wore me down. Is that what you think? That I wear you down? That's not what I think. That's what happens. Every time. You want something, I push back, you persist, I eventually agree. The pattern is clear. So what do you want me to do? I want you to actually compromise. Actually give up things you want sometimes because I don't want them. Actually treat my preferences as equal to yours instead of obstacles to overcome. I do treat your preferences equally. No, you don't. And the fact that you told your friends you don't worry because I always bend proves you know that. She started crying. You're ruining our marriage over one stupid comment. I'm trying to save our marriage by addressing a pattern I've ignored for too long. If you can't see the difference, that's part of the problem. What do you want from me? I want you to sit with what you said. Really sit with it. Ask yourself if you'd be okay with me saying the same thing about you to my friends, that I don't worry about what you want because you'll bend eventually. Would that be okay? No. Exactly. So why is it okay the other way around? She didn't have an answer. I stood up and cleared my plate. I'm going to read for a while. Take your time thinking about it. I left her sitting at the table, tears streaming down her face. Part of me wanted to comfort her, but a bigger part knew that if I did, I'd be bending again, softening, making it easier for her to avoid the hard truth. Update 4. We spent the next few days in this weird limbo, both at home, both sleeping in the same bed, but distant, polite, like roommates instead of married people. I kept making my own breakfast. She kept making hers. We'd move around the kitchen like choreographed dancers, never quite touching. Thursday evening, she brought it up again. How long are you going to stay mad? I'm not mad. I'm resolved. There's a difference. Resolved to what? To not being taken for granted. To having my needs actually matter. To being in an equal partnership instead of being the one who always accommodates. You're being dramatic. Am I? Okay, let's test it. I want to take a trip next month, just me, a solo hiking trip, 4 days. Will you support that? What? Why do you need a solo trip? Because I need time to think, time away, time that's just mine without having to accommodate anyone else's preferences. We could go together. I don't want to go together. I want to go alone. That seems extreme. Why? Because married people don't just take solo trips without discussion. We're discussing it now. I'm telling you what I want. Will you support it? I need to think about it. That's what I thought. See, if you'd asked me for a solo trip, I'd have said yes immediately. I'd have asked where you wanted to go, helped you plan, made sure you had everything you needed. But when I ask, you need to think about it. That's the pattern. It's different. How is it different? I don't know. It just is. It's different because you're used to your wants being prioritized, and when mine are, it feels wrong to you. That's the problem. So now you're going to just do whatever you want without considering me? No. I'm going to do what I want after considering both of us equally. That's what you've always done. Now I'm doing it too. If that feels wrong, maybe ask yourself why. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, I don't like this version of you. I know. This version doesn't accommodate you automatically. This version has preferences that matter. This version expects to be heard. That's uncomfortable for you. It's not that. Then what is it? You're being cold, distant, not like yourself. I'm being exactly like myself, for the first time in years. You're just not used to it because I've been playing a role for so long that you thought it was who I actually was. What role? The accommodating husband. The guy who bends. The one you told your friends about. That was a performance. This is reality. Update 5. The next morning, Friday, I woke up to find she'd set up my breakfast again. Coffee maker ready to go, vitamins out, oatmeal measured. I didn't touch any of it. Made myself eggs and toast instead. She watched from the doorway. I was trying to be nice. You were trying to reset the pattern. It didn't work. You're seriously going to make this a thing forever? Until you understand why it matters. Yes. It's breakfast. It's control. It's you taking care of me in ways that make you feel needed and make me feel managed. I don't want to be managed anymore. I've been doing this for 11 years. I know. And it was nice for maybe 9 of them. The last 2, it's felt different. Like maintenance. Like keeping a tool in working order. That's insane. Is it? Or is it accurate and uncomfortable? She grabbed her keys. I'm going to work. I can't do this right now. We're doing this whether you can or not. This is our marriage. It needs to be fixed. Maybe it can't be fixed. Then say that, out loud. Tell me our marriage can't be fixed because I won't bend anymore. Say it. She stared at me, then left without saying anything. I heard her car pull out of the driveway, sat at the kitchen table with my eggs and toast, looked at the breakfast setup she'd made, the coffee pot, the vitamins, the oatmeal. All of it sitting there like evidence of something that used to work, but didn't anymore. I poured the oatmeal back into the container, put the vitamins back in the cabinet, unplugged the coffee maker, wiped down the counter until there was no trace of the ritual she'd performed for 11 years. It felt final, like closing a chapter, but also like opening a new one, even if I didn't know what was written in it yet. Update 6. The weekend was tense. We barely spoke. She'd leave a room when I entered it. I'd find excuses to be elsewhere when she was home. Sunday evening, she finally confronted me. I talked to my mother. Okay. She thinks you're going through a midlife crisis. That's convenient. Blame it on age instead of addressing the actual problem. She said all men go through this, getting weird about respect and independence. I'm not getting weird about anything. I'm asking for what I should have always had. My mother said I should just wait it out, that you'll come around. I laughed, actually laughed out loud. There it is, wait it out, because I always bend eventually, right? That's the advice? Just wait for me to go back to being predictable? She didn't say it like that. But that's what she meant. And you know what? That proves my point perfectly. Even your mother knows the pattern. Even she knows I can be counted on to give in. How many people know this about me? How many people see me as the guy who eventually caves? You're twisting everything. I'm not twisting anything. I'm just finally seeing clearly, and I don't like what I see. So what happens now? Now you decide. Do you want a marriage where we're actually equals? Where we both compromise? Where you can't just wait me out? Or do you want the old version where I'm predictable and manageable? I want my husband back. Your husband is right here. You just don't recognize him because he's not bending. Final update. It's been 6 weeks. The breakfast routine never came back. We make our own breakfast now, together in the kitchen but separate. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we don't. The solo trip happened. 4 days in the mountains, just me and my thoughts. She didn't support it exactly, but she didn't stop it either. When I came back, she asked how it was. I said it was good. We left it at that. Things are different now. Not bad different, just different. She asks me what I want more often. Actually asks like she's genuinely curious, not like she's gathering information to overcome later. I've said no to 3 things in the past month. A dinner party she wanted to host, a furniture purchase she wanted to make, a weekend trip to visit her parents. All 3 times she pushed back a little, then accepted it. Actual acceptance, not the fake kind where she's just waiting for me to change my mind. We had a conversation last week that felt like progress. She admitted she'd gotten comfortable with me being flexible, that she'd stopped thinking about what I wanted because I rarely pushed hard enough to make her think about it, that my predictability had made her lazy. I admitted I'd enabled it, that I'd said yes when I meant no for so long that I'd trained her to expect it, that I was as much at fault as she was. She asked if we were okay, if the marriage was going to make it. I told her I didn't know yet, that we were in a new phase and I needed to see if she could sustain the change, if she could actually treat me like an equal partner instead of someone to manage. She asked what would happen if she couldn't. I said we'd probably end up divorced. She cried. I didn't. That worried her more than anything else I'd said. Her friends don't come over anymore, at least not the ones who were there that Saturday. She says she doesn't feel comfortable having them over after what happened. I didn't ask her to do that. She decided on her own. Says she didn't like how they laughed when she talked about me. Says she didn't realize how disrespectful it sounded until I called her on it. I still think about that comment sometimes. He always bends eventually. It still stings. But it also woke me up. Made me realize I'd been a supporting character in my own marriage. Always accommodating, always flexible, always there to make her life easier while mine got smaller and smaller. The breakfast thing seems trivial. I get that. People hear this story and think I'm being petty, making a big deal out of nothing. But it wasn't about breakfast. It was about recognition, about being seen as someone whose preferences matter, about not being predictable, manageable, bendable. I don't know if we'll make it. Some days I think we will. Some days I think the damage is too deep. She says she's changing, and maybe she is. But I'm watching for patterns, for signs that she's just waiting for me to soften, to bend back into shape, to become predictable again. I won't. That version of me is gone. She killed it with that one comment to her friends. And what's replacing it is someone who knows his worth, who protects his boundaries, who understands that being loved isn't the same as being managed. She's adjusting, slowly, learning to be with someone who says no, who doesn't automatically cave, who makes her actually negotiate instead of just wait me out. Is it sustainable? I don't know. But I know this. I'd rather be divorced and respected than married and managed. And if she can't give me that, then these 11 years were training for the next relationship, not the foundation of this one. The breakfast routine is gone. The predictable husband is gone. What's left is someone she's having to relearn. Whether she wants to do that work will determine if we make it. But either way, I'm never going back to being the guy who always bends eventually. That guy is dead, and I'm not mourning him. Yesterday, she made coffee for both of us. Not because it was a routine, but because she wanted to. She asked if I wanted any first. Actually asked. I said yes. We drank it together at the table, not saying much, but present. Together in a way we haven't been in years. It's a small thing, but it's different. She's learning that partnership means asking, not assuming. That my yes means something when my no is also an option. We have a long way to go. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight. Patterns that took years to form don't disappear in weeks. But we're trying. Actually trying, not just waiting each other out. And if it doesn't work, at least I'll know I tried to save it as my authentic self, not as the manageable version I'd performed for so long. That's worth something. Maybe everything.